Awesome. Hey everyone, Mike the Beast here with another interview, and it is with Source Point Press's Ben Goldsmith. Ben's someone I've interviewed. If you go past, go into my YouTube channel, go through the archives. I've interviewed Ben twice before at Terrificon, and it's always been a great time. And I really want to reach out and try to get another interview with him. So here we are. Ben, how's everything going?
It's great, man. I'm glad you did because this is, I have my first Comic-Con coming up this weekend in New Jersey, and then this is one of my first comic-related interviews since everything went to hell. So, you reaching out, it made me feel like I still existed. I wasn't positive, to be honest with you. I know I was eating things and watching things, but you're reaching out to me confirmed that on a macro level, I still exist, which is good. Hey, you know what? Why haven't you ever? I want when your thing starts, I want you to be like, "Hey, it's Michael the Beast," and like a sound effect. That's what you need, man.
I do. I need to work on my intro.
I want. We'll figure one out. We'll make it for you. We'll mix. We'll do what they do in Foley, where they mix 7 animals together. They're really good sound. I'd be like, well, I put the lion in here for the nice bass tones, but then you never knew. But that possum screech, man, that really hits the sharps.
Absolutely. And the sound of a dying giraffe always adds that little.
It gives it the immediacy.
Exactly.
So thank you for having me on, bud.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It took me a while to get back into the YouTube thing, but since I've been doing more at the community and with the pandemic, I've been cooped up, so it's something to do. And it's always been great when we've talked chat in the past. So I thought, why not? So I'm stoked for this.
Well, good. Since we're both getting out there again, let's tag Spindrift because it's the greatest drink of all time. It's like seltzer water with a little juice, and I'm up to 7 a day at the
awesome cool. So Ben, I recently interviewed Jason Douglas, also from Source Point Press. That was an awesome interview. We talked parallel, and I started with talking about influences, and funny enough, I was rewatching our past interviews, and the novice rookie interviewing me never really asked what got you in the comics. So, Ben, what got you in the comics?
Jason Douglas did. No, this is really ironic. No, it's kind of cool that you didn't ask because, right? Sometimes it's fun to get to know people first before. It's like when you ask someone what they do right away. You save it a little.
Yeah.
Influences. There's. It's just there's none better than Alan Moore and Brian K. Vaughan. It's like those. It's like hey, you're an actor. Who do you look up to? Oh, Marlon Brando. Yeah. Well, of course you do because he's incredible. And the same thing with Alan Moore. On a smaller level, to me the guy Dean Haspiel, and sort of reading through the Harvey P. Carr stuff and the sort of blunt, beautiful honesty of a lot of the stuff that they did. I've always really liked, appreciated, and then it has less to do now. And I guess as you move into comics, I'm not even reading so much by those guys. Sorry, Dean. I read kind of whatever. I'll read everything now. I read the same way I listen to music, where I'm like, it exists, so I will read it. Just if for nothing else, just to see why it exists. I don't always like stuff. I would say I rarely really enjoy something. But it also gets to that point too, where it's like I've now been, I guess, in the comic game for 6 years, and I don't know. It's you read things differently when you see how the sort of the sausage gets made. So, yeah, man. Sorry, that's a long-winded question, but again, I told you it's my first interview in a while, so I'm just gonna let the valve open on these.
Cool.
And yeah, but the influences, Brian K. Vaughan and Alan Moore, the two, woo. Like, of course they are, because you're a human being. Um, but then, weirdly enough, like uh, uh, theater is a huge
Awesome.
influence for me, because that's what I started, and I was a touring actor for a long time, and
Never
then
knew
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you never asked.
that.
I bet you asked Jason Douglas if he liked theater. No. So when I think about things and I work through things, I'm working through them a lot of like how, if you were reading it and you were experiencing it as you're reading it, what is that experience like? I'm trying to sort of preempt the experience, which is what we always did in theater. And it's a little different, right? Because with theater, you get a chance to refine it. You're like, oh, this didn't land, so I'll do it different the next night. But comics, if you can still think about it in the same way and go, okay, well, on a really micro level, like, oh, if I put this thing on the next page, and the physical act of turning the page will re-inspire. But then you think, okay, well, as a reader, every time I turn the page, my eye naturally drifts to the bottom right of the next page, because we all have the habit of like quick scan, you know.
Mhm.
So I almost never, if I can help it, put anything important on a bottom right panel. And sort of like that's that thought process of preempting the actual physical experience of reading, as much as the story.
Awesome, awesome. And you mentioned theater. Also, I did theater in high school and college. And we
Woo!
talked in our I think off camera, but you're a big fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, as am I. And you
Yeah,
can, if you read, we'll get in the seance room, but there's even elements of that in seance room. How important is the Rocky Horror Picture Show to not only your work, but just in general as an influence?
a massive, massive. It's probably the movie I've seen the most in this world. And did I show you? Because at Terrificon, I had just gotten my new tattoo. Did I show it to you?
I think I saw the Instagram. I never saw it in
Yeah.
person or via
Okay.
computer.
I have Frankenfurter as a pinup girl, and it's like my entire quad.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's just, like every time I talk to people who are Rocky fans, you get the same spark of, oh, that got me out of being antisocial or feeling bad, or that put me in a group of new friends, or it has never failed to connect loners and outsiders since it was created. It's the perfect music, it's the perfect movie, and yeah, it transcends, like, Jesus, man, it's 70, 75
Yeah. So
when it came out. So, like 30, 40 years now,
40 and
40, going
change.
on,
Yeah. And it's still,
like,
and it's only getting bigger.
yeah, well, ahead of its time for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And and just the performances in it. But it's, yeah, so like every single time, that movie is the best, man. What did you ever see a live performance of it? Did you ever see a live
Uh,
show? Were you in
yeah.
a live show? Did you ever do one?
My biggest regret at Southern Connecticut State University before I tried out. Well, I tried out for Spring Awakening my freshman year, didn't make it, and after doing theater a little in high school, I'm like, okay, maybe it was just like a one shot thing. The next year was Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I didn't audition,
Yeah, you're
which
a little
is
burnt. I get it.
yeah. So I ended up still seeing it because I had never seen it prior to that, and I was
Was
just seeing it.
that was your first time ever experiencing Rocky? Was that performance?
Correct. I, for whatever
Oh.
reason, I didn't really get into theater until my senior year of high school, and I had known about it, and I never knew what it really was about. No one ever talked about it when we were in high school, and it just was always something I knew of.
I like to imagine that in your high school, like, someone would start to, and then secret police would come and drag them into a locker. Like,
That's probably why I
it
never heard
wasn't.
of it.
Yeah, it was a whole Footloose thing. Like John
Exactly.
Lithgow was not having it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So seeing it live and the Frankenfurter they casted, he was already like 6 feet tall. So with the high heel boots, this guy seemed like he was 8 feet tall, if not larger, and just it blew me away because I was all open for it too. And just the performances were great. The theater director at Southern is one of the best, one of the greatest people I've ever, gotten to meet and work with. And they did a phenomenal. It's on YouTube. If you type in Southern Connecticut State University Rocky Horror Picture Show, it's in 2 parts, and it's a phenomenal performance.
So did you end up doing a show later in your junior year? Because you said so. I'm so sorry. I've worked all day long.
No worries.
People are gonna be like, "Yo, Goldsmith yawned at this dude's story. What a dick." Oh yeah, Goldsmith got to talk about his own experience, but then someone else was talking and he yawned. It was pretty on brand. No, but like, did you? So because you said that this is a person you really admired, but you didn't do the first 2 years. So your junior, senior year, did you end up working with him? Him?
Yes. So I auditioned for, for Spring Awakening. I didn't really get to know him that well. And even when I saw Rocky, it wasn't until my junior year, I decided, you know what? One of my roommates was into the theater a lot. And we always talked about that. He goes, come on, try out. And I was like, you know what? Why not? So it was for a play called Shakespeare in Hollywood, which is an awesome show. It's if Puck and Oberon time warped into 1950s Warner Brother lot. And it's just they get casted into a production of Midsummer Night's Dream. So it's a fun show. It wasn't that same director, although he did help with the little choreography and a dance scene. But I ended up getting one of the supporting roles, and it was only like a 8-person cast. So that kind of got the spark. Okay, maybe I'm not done. Maybe I still have a little gas left in the tank. And the show was great. Met some great people, and that's how I really got to meet and know the kids in the theater department at Southern. And they were awesome kids. I still talk to this day. And that was in the fall. So the following spring, they did Urinetown. And it was the theater director, Larry Nye. And what was that?
What year did you graduate?
I graduated 2016.
Oh, all right. Because I felt like there was definitely a time in like 2006 to like, yeah, maybe about 2015, where like every Urinetown was just the thing to do.
Yeah, there was around that because there was a local theater company near me, or a local high school near me. They also did it that following, so it was right around that time.
There's always like a show that sort of becomes, and it's never the big like the huge hit show, right? Because the huge hit show usually has like stage production and shit.
Yeah.
So then if you get a Urinetown where the cast is pretty manageable, the show itself is pretty manageable, it's like, oh well, then everyone's going to do it. For a while before that, I feel like it was the Full Monty was the one that really people were doing a lot of, because it's a good show, it's a streamlined cast, and it's a pretty easy production, but Urinetown, it's a fun show, man. That's a good one. So you had a good time doing that.
Yeah, I was in the ensemble, and it was great because all the he had an eye for theater, and the cast was just phenomenal. The leads are great, and it was just awesome to be a part of. I was one of the cops, so I was kind of worked under the 2 main cops, Lock, Stock, and Barrel. So and those guys were casted perfectly, guy and girl, and that was great. So then the next year it was a different music director, and so it wasn't just the regular director I was used to, and it was Godspell, and I was so stoked because Godspell is one of my favorite shows, and I didn't get casted into it, but I got the help with the Pit. I turned the music pages for the music for the conductor, and I got to play cowbell during one of the what's the end of Act 1? I
don't know.
Light of the World.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was fun. But I was still.
So you were like, by any means, man, I want to be a part of this world. Like, it's just a good thing to be around.
Absolutely.
It's a good,
especially exactly. And I was fortunate my junior year going back to high school. we saw American Idiot live on Broadway when Billy Joe Armstrong
cool.
was the St. Jimmy character. So seeing it
Shit.
live, yeah, exactly. And even back in my senior year of high school, I was in Evita. That was the first ever theater I ever did, and that's like a rock opera on its own, and being one of the military members in that show, and that's what got me, because I've always loved performing music, but theater, that's where I got the theater stage high and wanted to keep on running with it. And then seeing American Idiot.
Evita was the show that where I had to figure out what the hell 7/8 time was, because there's this song, and the money kept rolling in, that
Yep.
Che Guevara sang, and the money kept rolling in from everywhere, and it's like in 3/4, so you or 7/8, so you 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3, and the whole time you're singing, going like you're trying to emote and sing and stuff, but all in your head you're just like 1 2 3 1 2,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
and I think I've seen maybe 3 people in the history of the world, and one of them is Mandy Patinkin, who was the original Broadway Che, who can sing that song without looking like the internal clock is just ticking.
Yeah. So that was just fun. We actually borrowed a casket from a local place. So we actually, and the opening number.
You borrowed it.
The opening number, I'm actually one of the.
Was it empty? Is the more important question.
It's funny, during rehearsals we tried putting the Evita but we had it closed, and then we were worried about her air supply, so we're like, let's not put her in the casket for the opening number. But still, carrying a casket to lead off a show is quite an introduction, for your first number, performing in front of people in theater. So that it was a blast. That's definitely what got me. Okay, I like this. It's very similar to being a musician, which I know you also are, and I want to get to that a little bit later. So doing that, so then Godspell, going back, flash forward back to Godspell, being involved still. That following. The following spring were the one acts, and that was I got to be part of. I was an assistant stage manager for that, so that was fun because there was a 4 or 5 person cast, and being involved with that whole process was fun. The next year, we did Rent at Southern, and being part of the ensemble was great. It was a phenomenal show. And then my last theater experience was 25th annual Putnam Common Spelling Bee, and I played one of the.
I like that show.
I was one of the 2 fathers for I can't remember her name, but he liked making cast bigger than what they were supposed to be, because he loved the big shows. So the original and a lot of the productions, the kids also double up as parents. He had parents, so like we got to be in the crowd. The parents were in the crowd with the actual viewing crowd and the audience. So that was a fun experience.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I like that a lot, actually.
That's also on YouTube.
That's really cool.
So that was fun, and that was my last time doing theater. But I still love it. Fun enough, and it's actually going to tie back to Rocky Horror. They a local theater company wanted to do it, and they couldn't find a Rocky. I auditioned. I made it as a Phantom, but they had like 3 separate additional castings and auditions. They couldn't find a Rocky, so the show never happened.
Yeah, it's a hard one to cast. You gotta be in pretty good shape.
But it's funny though. So Meatloaf was at a comic convention, and I got to meet him. And I told him, I tried out with Tapatuti. That's one of my favorite songs from the show. And I go, I got into the show, but the show never happened because they couldn't cast a Rocky. And Meatloaf goes, how do you not cast a Rocky? He doesn't do anything.
That's funny. Yeah, it's actually funny hearing you talk about it. It's like, oh wow, I think comic conventions are basically like theater productions. Like, you were the stage manager, that's the editor. Like, he does all the work, doesn't get the glory, right? The actors are the writers and the artists. Um, we go out and it's a similar energy, like before, pre-show,
Yeah.
when you're setting up and we because the shows start before everyone goes in, and we're all walking in with breakfast, and you can just feel everyone kind of like loosening up. Some people are stretching, some people are setting up the table still. Some people are frantic. It really is kind of like how theater was when you first jumped in to show night.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And it's just, yeah, it's just something I absolutely love. And if the opportunity arises, and I apologize, that light, that's the lamp that shows how old it is. It keeps fading out. So I might be in the shadows, but it kind of fits the ambiance for stuff we're going to talk about. But yeah,
hold on.
There we go. Even better.
Is it time? It's time.
It is. See, I meant this to happen. So, and I could talk about theater forever. So, it's, I guess it's about time we segue into, let's see if I get this right. Awesome.
Whoa, well done.
So when I first, I met you at Terrificon 2015, I think, one of those. What sold me on coming to the booth was the big banner for Seance Room, the book that you wrote, and I'm gonna let you take the floor. Talk about how Seance Room came to be.
Well, it's Twilight Zone meets Tales from the Crypt. They're sort of spooky one-shot stories that have some sort of moral underpinning, and no one's really that happy at the end. And I mean, it came about mostly because a single issue was a single story, so I could talk to a Michael and I could be like, hey, you have $4. Well, I have a whole story for you, and it's all in here, and you don't have to buy the next one if you don't like it. And then people did like it, and then they bought the next one, and then there's 4 out. I'd say the biggest bummer was that the trade, which has this really cool die cut. So the picture in the background, the thing right now, that's actually the trade cover picture, and the doors are the front cover, and you open those, and that slit where you can see Harry, the owner of the mansion, that's the page behind it. So it's like you're opening up the doors, and then the picture behind it with Harry is much more than what you're seeing there. So but then that got released March 2020. So I didn't get to go on the road with it. I didn't get to do anything with it. I don't know how many we sold, if we sold any, really. Super bummer.
Oh, there you are.
I thought I had my copy hand close by. I didn't. I was going to show it off in person.
Oh wait, you got a copy?
I did.
Oh, thank you.
Well, no, and I wanted to support because of the pandemic and conventions not happening. I was a little behind on the single issues, so when I saw that the trade was coming out, and I am a trade and wait when it comes to Surrent. I might have gotten more juice in this, actually. Let's see. So when I saw that the trade was coming out, I'm like, that's awesome, and I picked it up, and it's an awesome book. Please head over to, that's available on SourcePoint still, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Head over to the website and get yourself a copy if you're a trade and wait person. If you want cool collectible, like you said, the cover pulls out, and it's it's awesome. So if you are a trade and wait person, please go out and get this book, because it's awesome.
My theory has kind of always been like, behind the scenes, the cover obviously costs more to do that way than anything else, but whatever it ate into, because it's going to get eaten on my back end, is what happens, right? But I was like, it's so cool looking, I don't care, make it happen. So yeah, it's pretty great. And then my other really good news about Seance Room Twofold. Well, okay. There's a novel coming out, collected short stories that I've written for the Seance Room that we are turning straight into prose novels.
Awesome.
And each one is going to have an illustration by Dustin, who's the current artist for Seance Room. So that's going to be coming out. And on top of that, we have the next 4 issues coming out of
Awesome.
Seance Room, which will include, ready for this? A crossover with Hack Slash.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. And that's still Source Point Press?
Yeah, that'll be a Source Point. And then I'm not sure how the Hack Slash one works with publishing stuff, but I got the okay from Tim, and the script's written, and Dustin's working on it. So hope someone knows.
That's awesome. Congratulations, because it almost does end on a cliffhanger, those first 4 issues. And
yeah, well, it was always meant to. Sorry, I'm going to readjust here because I'm an old man and I have my legs crossed, and I'm feeling that now on the hips. All right, there we go. Ooh, I might have made it worse. God, I'm old. And so, yeah, it's always meant to continue going and keep being new issues and next issues. Like it's not ever really meant to end. It's just that it's so time consuming and expensive to make comics as an indie creator. So, sometimes there's kind of these big gaps. And then, the truth of it too is like, you don't know how well something's going to do, so Seance Room hits and does pretty well, and like well enough that Source Point said, yeah, we'll do another 4 issues. No, I didn't really know that at the time. You hope, but you don't know. And then so in the interim there, I'm creating other things. I'm working on other things. I'm working on I'm actually writing a novel for this fella in Dubai, and it's a work for hire thing, and it's this really epic long thing about like sort of the retelling of the Hercules myth.
awesome.
And so I'm working on that. I have this novel called The Book of Dave coming
Yeah.
out, which is sort of like a first person experience of a doomsday cult, the 24 hours preceding their doomsday prophecy, and sort of the antecedent months when it doesn't come true.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like all this stuff is going on. And sort of like, it's not that Seance Room got put in the back burner. It's just that Seance Room wasn't the thing that was immediate at the time. So, that's, I think, what happens, and it pushes things further back. But then something will happen, like the Tim Seeley allowing me to use Hack Slash, get you excited again to sort of go, oh, you know what? I think it might be time to jump back into this world, and I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to shit out stories on that. So like I can really take the time to pick and choose what stories I want to include in the Seance Room. So I've been taking advantage of that too. I haven't tried to, like, I think anything, I think any writer right now, especially horror writer, sort of looked at the last year and went, can I do something with this? And, so instead of just jumping to whatever the thing that's current is, because the thing that's current will be the past eventually, I'll take my time and go, all right, well, maybe this is that thing that's exciting now. Maybe this is Tiger King. And, in a year from now, we'll all be vaguely remembering it. And but then there's certain things, like I have, in the novel, there's a story about a father who goes to the Seance Room to relive the moment of the accident that took his daughter, because he thinks he can change something about it, and if he relives it over and over and over again, he can find the thing that would have changed it. And really, it's like it's a the extended metaphor for the self exile that we go through during trauma, and then we'll replay it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's a futile endeavor trying to find the one crumb that you thought may have gotten you out of the forest, but it's not, So that's and that's what it comes down to is I go, all right, do I want the story of the week thing, or do I have something that's, truly human?
Yeah.
And then we'll work from there. So, and I have that advantage because I don't have to do a monthly book
Mhm.
of Sales Room. Like if we had to, we could. I'd probably end up doing like a sideline, like Tales from the Seance Room or something. Like something that's not exactly Seance Room, because that sort of is a high bar.
Yeah.
Um, for me personally, I'm not saying that like in terms of comics, I'm like, oh, if you read Watchmen, ooh, buddy, like no, I don't mean to sound like that. It's just for me personally, it's to me that the Seance Room is that high caliber mark. So I if I did have to do a monthly thing, I would probably do something different. But yeah, man. So some big Seance Room news coming out. Again, yeah.
That's awesome. And I wanted to, you mentioned truly human. The nice thing about the Seance Room is, or nice might not be the right choice of words, but what's cool about it and different is the situations these characters get into. For some of the characters, they're normal, never done a bad thing in their life kind of personality, and they just get into these crazy uh, situations. So it's just like you said, the Twilight Zone. It's cool to have that, a modern take on that, where you see just someone, just trying to bury their husband or something like that, and just the predicament they get into, all with the best intentions. It's just the spin that it takes is truly kind of could hit the heart. So, and you don't see a lot of that
Well,
nowadays.
thanks, man. Well, did you end up getting a chance to read the 4th issue, The Ice Princess?
Yes.
And she's a person who suffers a lot for not really deserving it per se, but it's because of the suffering that we you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
a lot of a bit of that is just to make sure that y'all never know what's going to come. I mean, truly,
Yeah.
like when you're reading an issue, really, really, really being open to where is this going to go? And that was always kind of the intention, was to say, I don't want you to, I guess it's a theater thing, right? Like, again, you don't want because you don't want the audience to be ahead of the joke, right? Because if
Exactly.
the audience is ahead of the joke, when the joke is told, no one laughs,
Yeah.
or when the surprise is revealed, no one cries.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to do I think every person who calls themselves an artist is trying to, quote unquote, get ahead of the joke, get ahead of the audience, and be that usher for the experience. But with Seance Room, I mean, I sort of took away. So anyone who's watching this and doesn't know it, Seance Room, it sort of is this fantastical place in this mansion that's kind of based off of the Magic Castle in Los Angeles. And so by sort of saying like, well, the castle's magical, I sort of get to circumnavigate any of the sort of those things that we can all come to expect out of stories, because you're not in the place that you're used to at that point. Like if I said, go to the grocery store and grab me milk, your experience alone is going to get you through there no matter what the grocery store is, right? But if I sent you into a weird cave with like glowing shit, but everything else was stuff that you recognized, and I said, there's milk in there, go get it. It'd be a real different experience,
Absolutely. Like Click.
Click the movie. He's a Bed Bath and Beyond, the Beyond part. I can't believe I got your reference there.
I know it's a stretch because that's an old movie now, which is weird to say.
Well, I tell you, you said it at first, and my instinct was but then as I finished that instinct, I went Bed Bath and Beyond. I get it. So it's like, that's a good one.
Thank you. And it's how you're always trying to be ahead of the audience. Is almost just like what Roddy Piper said, "Just when you think you answered the question, just when you yes, I had it right. Just when you think you answered the questions, I changed. I just did Roddy a huge disservice. I apologize, but
Oh man, gotta go watch They Live now.
I know. But and I want to talk about with doing the novels. Is there a little bit more freedom or a little bit more room to really get into it as opposed to doing it, writing the script and then the artist will take that and write the art or do the art? Is there a what's the difference like between doing the novel and doing the comic book?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing way more work. Like that's the biggest one. Because a lot of the times, anyone who's a comic reader, and if you're watching this, you are, you know that it's an artist medium. You're living in the artist's world for the most part, and they're putting all of that effort and detail into you. If something like even like choosing the color of the back of my thing, that's almost never a writer's prerogative, right? Like I'm making sure that it's framed. I'm making sure that it's part of the story. It's part of the flow. That it's part. You know what I mean? That it's saving the space that it needs to in the 22-page medium. I'm more of like the construction crew, and but with novels. Your outline's kind of the construction crew, and then you get to go in and say, this is how I want this room painted, and this is how you do a lot more of that stuff. And then I think the part that I like the most about it is that while I'm writing, if something catches me as interesting, I can just sit there on it and I can evaluate it a little more closely. Whereas with comics, I don't get to do that because I'm trying to like hit the main beats. And if I'm really interested in the thing, I'm like, oh man, that whoa, how would that feel if they just said that thing to the person? And but then I have 3 pages left. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
that, move on. So I mean it's a lot more freeing that way, but it's way more work. Like I definitely. It's also a total mind flip. Like I got a book coming out called Second Place, which I sent you. You got to read. You got to read the first one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's coming out, and it's a mockumentary space build bodybuilding book. Like it's different.
And being able to read it's like you've all seen those people. If you've ever been to a gym, you've all seen kind of what you're trying to do the mockumentary of, which is awesome. So I can't wait for that.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm actually extremely proud of it. And so Ed, the artist, we have the next arc already plotted out. But
Awesome.
every time I sit down to do it, I cannot switch back to comics right now because I'm in the novel mindset. I'm having the hardest time doing that. I think I imagine that once we're back on the road with the comics and everything, I'll be able to sort of jump back into it. But oh my god, right now it's like pulling teeth to get back into it. Yeah, man. But I love talking about Second Place. That is because that's coming out. That's going to be a thing. It's going to be physical. It'll probably be in previews in October. Was what I'm thinking.
Awesome. That's another cool thing about a lot of your books, if not all of them that you've had published. You can go to your comic book store and say, "I want Seance Room. I want Second Place when it comes out." Correct?
So far, yeah. I mean, we did Chongo, which I sent. And I guess the link was kind of busted, which is a bummer because it's a double size first issue, and then the second. It's only gonna be 2 parts. So the first part is double size. The second part's double size. We were gonna do it in 4 issues, but we were like, we'll just print it ourselves. We'll do 2 big issues, and we'll have a day with it, right? And it's basically like kid ends up with this little demon guy who allows him to see everyone's insecurities because everyone's insecurity is actually a demon that lives with you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's sort of like it's a lot about him and his mom. Really, it's like for dudes out there who had good relationships with their moms. It's the book for you because both Caesar and I were kind of like we had better relationships with our moms than our dads, and I didn't really ever see a lot of like that in comics. And he's not like a like a mama's boy, when you think of that term, it actually ends up being like a really kick-ass sort of mom and son duo.
Awesome.
So, but the gimmick is the the aliens. Oh my god, now I'm thinking mixing comics. Is the demons, and they exist. Our insecurities made manifest. It's really fun, especially to see the way that Caesar, like my insecurity would be probably like like failure, right? Not succeeding in life, and he came up with like really cool versions of those, and then how they interacted with you, and where they lived on you, so you get to see a lot of that in the book, which is fun. Speaking of they live, right? Like it's if you put the glasses on and you were like, oh shit, you're scared of that? No way, so yeah, and we did the Kickstarter for it. Kickstarter went ahead. I have copies that I'm going to be selling of the first one at conventions this year. So,
awesome.
Yeah. But second place, yeah, you will be able to get that in stores. Chongo, no. Second place, yes.
Awesome. For Chongo, how long is the Kickstarter running for?
It's done. The first one is
awesome.
Yeah, first one's donezo, man. That was a while ago. All good on the Western Front there, and then
awesome.
The second one we'll be doing next year.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you'll have all of issue ones on the road with you once all the cons start.
Yes.
Awesome.
And are you gonna be doing? It's back. We're doing it. It's happening.
I'm ready. I have my I have a press pass for Terrificon, so I'll be at Terrificon.
Awesome.
And
I have to look into a booth there for that one, because I'm doing a lot more shows on my own this year just because I have so much product. I have so much product now.
That's awesome.
And then, because I still have I have all the RV9 stuff, because I got all my RV9 stuff from Mad Cave Studios, which I wrote. I got that stuff again right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I've moved twice since since the pandemic started, right up to now. I just moved into my new place. This is my new place with my nice green wall, and I said, give me an interview wall, and this is what they gave me. No, I requested it. I like this color. It's very calming. We're in the bedroom right now. Pillows. Awesome. Oh yeah. Behind the scenes. There you go.
Awesome.
And this is like crap on as my nose plugs for when I snore, because otherwise my fiance will kill me. This is the real deal. This is on cribs now. It's where the magic happens. Yeah, that's the old reference. You think Click was an old reference? Wait till no one understands what MTV Cribs is. But for MTV, so the Jersey Shore people, yeah, pretty much. But we moved twice, and I have all this product that I had that was supposed to be gone. And I'd be carrying. Every time we move, man, the heaviest. I'm trying not to swear. I don't know if people have been able to catch that yet. The heaviest thing that I've caught time and time again brought with me is these stupid boxes of books that was supposed to be in people's hands and enjoying it by this point. But they are just, I'm shocked that none of them have been destroyed by the two moves.
That's awesome, though. That's awesome. That's great. You're getting your own, you're looking to get your own tables, because that's with all that product. Why not? That's awesome. That's awesome.
Man, this year for sure. Yeah.
I was going to say, I was going to go into a good way to kind of keep up with all the projects you're working on is you're very active on Instagram.
Yeah. So you can follow me at Mr. MR BENAU. So Mr. Ben AU, which is Mr. Ben Gold, not Mr. Ben well, I don't know. If you enjoy the reference, you'll enjoy my Instagram. That's, I think, a pretty solid you know, the gateway over into that world. Like you're like, oh, that's some nice ironwork here. I really appreciate like if you like that, you're gonna like what I post. A lot of my Shiba Inu who is just hanging out right now down there. Hi
Aw.
Shiva. Hi Boosh. Want to say hi? No, you don't, because you're a Shiba Inu. You don't care. And then yeah, you can DM me, follow, comment on things. I'll comment back. Probably something snarky and like I'm trying to get the joke. And if I don't, just be like, you're old. I saw you switch leg positions because your hips were hurting. You're old and you don't get my jokes. You know, like, hey, you're right. I don't. You're right. That's what I'll say.
And another thing, one last thing about Seance Room is what you did, you know, and going back to Kickstarter, you recorded a vinyl to go along with Seance Room.
Yeah, we did. Did you ever get a chance to hear it?
I did not.
I should have sent you I have the digital files. I'll send them to you.
Awesome. Awesome. Because completely skipped my mind because I was seeing all the updates and then by the time I was like, oh shit, I gotta go for that. I was like, I just missed it.
Yeah. It was, so we got it funded, and it's rad, man. It's probably one of the best things of my entire life is being able to make a vinyl record of music about a comic that I created. But even the thing is even if you don't like the even if you don't read the comic and you just are a music fan, it holds up all by itself. It's
awesome.
It recorded a horror movie sound.
That's sick.
It's really fun to throw on big headphones and let it do its job. It only stops twice the entire time. Wow. On both sides, and the first time it stops is after this like big 8-minute piece of music that like sort of gets you to the mansion. It stops because the ghosts escape. The only other time it stops is when you literally flip the record over. Otherwise, it's a continuous play on both sides.
That's cool. That's cool.
Pretty
and
cool. I do actually still have. What?
I was gonna say, I even have a vinyl too.
Well, I have. Oh, all right. You don't want them. I get it. Whatever. No.
Oh no, you're coming in choppy there.
I figured. I just give you shit. It's like
it's happening again.
No, it's not. I wasn't talking.
God.
I'm sorry. That's on me. I'm sorry.
I've worked too long of a day for this.
Oh man.
Did you want to talk about Beyond the Demon Sea quick? Because that was another project kind of in between gaps.
We could, but yeah, it's kind of that was, yeah, sure. Like so it was a comic that was made completely in tattoo art. So flash art tattoo, classic tattoo art, like the whole way. That's what it is. It's not trying to be that. An actual tattoo artist drew it. I got Ben Goldsmith to draw the cover. We had a variant cover for Black Cake Comics that blew up. I have one copy left that's just mine, but I sold all of the ones that I had. I think at the end they were going for $60 a piece.
Wow.
And people were totally happy to. That was a comic that I think it was a super low print run. The art itself was gorgeous by this guy Esteban Salinas, who I'm actually working on a book right now, which is way beyond all the stuff I've been doing. Very different. I'll tell you off the thing, but so and that was my first like oh, this is cool. This is like a thing. This is part of the collector thing, right? Like, but then what was really funny is like everyone, they'd be hitting me up. They'd be like, you got any more of those covers? Man, you got any more of those covers? And I'd say, well, no, I don't. I have the one. It's mine. I'm keeping it. But I do have the other click. Like if it was a phone, it was like I have. Okay, sorry. Like,
No worries.
but yeah, man. So that book was that book was really good, man. It was and we should be. I mean, hopefully, be making more in different tattoo styles. I know Davey's
Awesome.
busy, and they're just one shots anyway. So it's like again, if But yeah, I have a bunch of copies. I'll have them on the road of the
Awesome.
not the not the special cover, but of the good Ben Templesmith cover. I mean, he's good, right? Like he's a big,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, right.
It's great. So yeah, other than you have the show coming up, the Garden City Comic Con coming up this weekend, correct? In Jersey.
So yep, Garden State Comic Con Comic Fest. That's going to be in Elizabeth, Jersey. Then you guys can see me come to Baltimore. I'll be there. Come to obviously I'm from Boston, so obviously Boston Fest if they do it. What else am I doing this year? Baltimore.
Super Megfest doing anything this year?
I don't know, actually. Oh, Granite State, New Hampshire, Providence, like the whole New England sort of thing.
So it'll be in Rhode Island too?
Yeah,
Awesome.
Rhode Island. But outside of New England, I'm not sure yet because it's cool. I didn't want to start planning for Baltimore's fine because my sister lives there. So if it gets canceled, it's I have to cancel hotel rooms and cancel a whole bunch of stuff, or I just go and see my sister, which is awesome too. Yeah. So, but I didn't want to start getting a whole bunch of hotels and plane tickets set and then have everything sort of canceled again because Lord knows at this point. But so all the local stuff really, if you guys are in New England, if you were in Urinetown at the Southern Connecticut College, just come on by.
Awesome. And then they can follow you. We already plugged your Instagram. I'm going to put it in the description as well. And I guess lastly, Ben, thank you for taking the time, talking. It's been way too long. And it really means a lot to, help do the interview. I can get it out there and really appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, dude, thank you, man. Like I said, you blew the dust off. It's been a while for me as well, my man. So thank you so much.
Awesome. And that being said, everyone, please go follow him on Instagram. Go to Search Point Press, pick up all the stuff. Sandstorm if you haven't read it. If you're in the horror, sci-fi, if you want something different, than a lot of the stuff that's coming out now, I definitely recommend picking that up. Keep an eye out for Chango and Second Place. And please, guys, go support. The stuff's awesome. Keep supporting the indie comic guys. There's a lot of great work coming from them. As Star Jason Douglas, Harriet Bend. There's a lot of good stuff coming out. And that being said, take it easy, everybody.